Today I'm going to talk about the famous history that happens in Taiwan. We all know that Taiwan is famous for its democracy and freedom. But behind the scenes, there's a terrible history that happens in 1955, and it is the White Terror. The first picture we saw is that the clock is photoed in a prison. The prison is full of victims, criminals, that has been caught during the White Terror. The clock stopped at 4:04 a.m. in the morning, and that is the time when most of the victims were pulled to shot and die. First, let's talk about the background. During 1949 to 1992, Taiwan has been in an atmosphere of people guessing each other, suspect and spied by the government, and it is all because a law has been told to everyone. It is the martial law. At that time, the Taiwan government has failed from fighting against the communism in China. They have no choice but to retreat to Taiwan. At first, they can't control the Taiwan citizens because of the bad economic and the horrible politics. Therefore, they decide to hold a law, which is martial law, to control all of the citizens and to against spy coming from China. And it is the beginning of the White Terror. Also at that time is the World War II were just ended. We can saw these two pictures and people. The left side, it is called Chen Chen, which is the executive premier in Taiwan, the first one. And the right is our famous first president, Chiang Kai-shek. In Chinese, it is called Jiang Jieshi. These two people made the White Terror happen. Phenomenon. At that time, the whole society were being prohibited for speech. They can't talk about communism whenever it is in school, your home, or in public. As you will find, will be caught by the police and go into the prison. Moreover, association will also prohibit too. People can't gather around to talk about talk about politics or make judgment about our government or president. Migration is also prohibited too. In nowadays, people can go whenever they want, but at that time, if you have a chance to go to like Kaohsiung for work opportunity, the government will suspect you to have different meanings. Like you might you might want to against the government, so they will ask you a lot of questions. Migrate will be a very hard thing to do at the time. The Marx. Marx is the writer of the communism. Any books about Marx or written by him were also prohibited too. If you were found having a book which is about communism or Marx, you will be shot at the same time. So people every day were living fear. They lost their basic rights of being a human. Legislation and sentencing. 1959, May 20. Martial law were made public. In 1949, May 24, a law which is called punishment of rebellion audience were also public too. This law were way more horrible than the martial law. Martial law restrict your self rights like migrate or speaking. The punishment of rebellion audience gives the military the right to judge you, to cost you, and to shoot you. Moreover, in 1950, June 13, regulations on persecuting and suppressing spies in the period of rebellion were also released too. These laws were born to against the spy coming from China. However, there are only a few people of spy, like about 1,000 more. It seems like it doesn't have a lot of chance that might threat our citizens. However, the danger of this law is that if someone says that you are a spy, then the government will caught you without any reason, because they think that we would rather kill someone who is blank. Then we won't give up any opportunity to kill a real spy. However, laws of the three laws are all against the constitution that were made by our father of the country, Xuan Zhongshan. It turns Taiwan into a dangerous autocracy country. The military court were first used as to punish like soldiers and people that belongs to the government. However, at that time, normal citizens were also pushed into the military court. That really harmed our citizens a lot because people don't have the basic knowing of to protect ourselves. By the time you walk into a military court, there are only one result that happens on you: going to the prison or death. There are very small chance that you might get safe out from the military court. So the government records about 29,400 people going to the court. However, there are research about that. The numbers are wrong. There are more than 70,000 people become the victims of the military court. As for the people that were harmed, the government records that only 8,200 people go into the prison and more than 1,000 people dead in penalty. However, research was shown that there are more than 200,000 people are being caught into prison and more than 1,200,000 people are being punished by death penalty. This is really a tragic. I will talk about stories that one day I go into the White Table Memorial Park, and the guide told me that the prison life is very hard and painful. There too many people were caught, but less prison are capable to let those people come inside. Therefore, they have no choice but to put 3 times or 4 times people into a same room. That is, they were designed only for 2 to 5 people. People gather around in the small rooms, wait for the judgment. Most people were dead because of the disease and the bad circumstances. Only less people made it and got into the court. What really kills is not by the judgment, it is by the prison circumstance. Resistance. I'm going to talk about famous people that we all know from our history. Lei Zhen, the reporter who, against the Taiwan's government, seek for a democracy. He created a newspaper which is called 自由中国. In the newspaper, he told the citizens the basic rights they have and the government's bad behaviors. He wants our citizens to stand up and fight against the government and relieve the martial law. He also requests fair election. By the way, our president, Jiang Zhenshi, has been a president more than decades. Lei Zhen wants a new president to become the new blood of Taiwan democracy. However, at the end, he went into the prison for 10 years. But his spirit will never forget by Taiwan's people. The Formosa incident. By the time when the incident happened, the martial law it's become more weak than before. However, people want to accelerate the democracy in Taiwan, so they walk on the street to protest. It is the biggest protest since the 228 incident. Fortunately, there are no casualties happen in this protest. However, the people that stand in the middle got caught in the prison and can't go back until he died. Though he made a sacrifice to accelerate the coming of democracy, but government has also made a choice and to stand and to start become more open to the public. Their request is to remove the martial law, remain speech liberty, letting people can speak whatever they want in the public, and also remove the autocracy. Turning point. At last, Taiwan finally going to the days were hugged by the democracy. In 1957, July 15, the government decided to abort the martial law. Though the Taiwan government aborted it, there are still a long road for Taiwan's democracy. And a year later, Tsinghua University students held a protest to fight against the police because the police went into their school and caught two of the history major students away without telling the university. Therefore, they decided to protest to fight against their right to talk about history and Taiwan people's liberty. Without knowing any choice, the Taiwan government decided to finally decide open every right that belongs to the citizens. And it is the time where Taiwan finally began the period of democratic reflection. Nowadays, Taiwan's democracy are getting better and better. The newspapers can point out the mistakes that government did, and also there are more people stand out to go into the government or in the politics to change the atmosphere of autocracy. Though we didn't make good or perfect in democracy, but we are still on the road, and we will continue to put efforts inside to fulfill democracy and also protect human rights that was guaranteed by the Constitution. At the end, I want to talk about my thoughts about this behavior. Though it is far from me, and I wasn't even born at that time. My father taught a lot about this incident. It's like you're in the school, but the school prohibit you to do anything like speak loud or play or anything else that belongs to our rights. What you can do is to study and follow their orders. And that is really, I can't even really think about that situation because I was born in such a freedom and wonderful time in this country. However, I'll still try to remember what the mistake happened in history and to fight against when the same mistake will happen again. And that's it. Thank you, everyone.